All right. Hey, everyone. As you can see, we're almost done with this page. This is the pencil layer still on, so you see a little bit of interference, but um, the format is we have the head of Luminary, who's like the AI advisor to the Bee Strangers, and then we have this four-way split, which I call this a gimmick panel, but you can call it what you like. So I'm going to do Blaze. This is the last panel.
Yeah, I already I took mine. Yeah, I took mine already.
I wonder if that's how I wanted to do this. When you first start out on a panel, you're kind of establishing the baseline and the line weights and all that stuff. And, this is meant to be Blaze working on the Blaze cycle, his jet bike, and I'm not going to say I did a great job at getting each of the figures to fit into the panels, but I think I did okay. I mean, they're actually really big in there, and I've been drawing. It's tough doing a team book. I'll just say that. You got to figure out scenes where you only have two or three characters at a time, and save it for the characters that you want to have all four in the same panel. I'm learning this now because, you know, this is page 2. This is page 3. I've got, okay, all four. This is easy enough. It's a big panel. This is our splash. And then I did this battle scene, and I don't know if you can see, I've got four there. I've got a combat scene. Um, and then I just did this one. This is while they're on their mission, they have a little discussion and a little bit of an argument. And while I'm doing this, I'm realizing that I've already left the script behind slightly. So,
Check.
sometimes you estimate and you go, okay, in this panel, these characters are going to argue, but you want to, create a moment for the reaction, or you need more space for dialogue, and it ends up going like, okay, this is really going to be two panels then. So, on the one hand, that's like, well, I guess that means there's going to be more pages, which might be a good thing, depending on if you're a kind of guy who says, oh, I can only do X amount of pages. It turns out maybe you can do more. Who knows?
Question. When I made my wisdom check, I did not add my proficiency. I mean, it doesn't. I thought it was
I'm having trouble with that area.
your wisdom plus your wisdom modifier, right? For a, for a check.
This is one of those things where I'm trying to figure out where the hand is going to go. I couldn't get the full. I wanted to actually put the full blaze cycle in here, but I couldn't figure out how to cram it in there without reducing the figure to a tiny size. Which I should also say, I'm not above reducing the figure to a tiny size, but not in the introductory panel. It just doesn't work. These guys ended up pretty prominently displayed in my sketchbooks for a couple of weeks before I started on this. Maybe a week or two. It was nice to have 5 pages going. and a good story, although I'm not 100% sure where it's going yet. That's another thing I like to like. If I feel like I have a strong enough beginning of a story, I don't worry too much about the end of the story, or I'll start thinking of a general, like this is where it has to go, and then start to come up with, and here's what has to happen in the middle as you get to it. It's the secret of sequential art, is you're trying to tell the story, um, and a lot of it's, it follows on from the situation you're creating, but you have to have a good beginning. You have to have a strong sense of what beat is on every page. Um, and you maybe probably need some experience as a story creator, as a writer. It's a lot of artists sadly don't pay attention to, and they should. Um, Writing is part of creating. It is part of making comics. You can, if you just physically don't like the act of putting the words down, you can do the story creation in the art. In fact, if you're familiar with Archie comics, by tradition, Archie comics are submitted. The scripts are submitted not as scripts, but they're submitted um, as pictures and words. You have to, if the artist, I mean, if the writer can't draw, he just does stick figures. But usually, um, the person creating it will kind of do both. So they're kind of submitted as roughs or thumbnails. Some people call them thumbnails. I think that we just get really stuck in these, oh, this is how you're supposed to do it, And there's so many different ways. I think there should be more attention paid to general principles, like this is what has to be accomplished before you can get to the next step, and not on the um,
Ouch.
what could I? How could we describe this? Not on the specific methods used, because methods could change. Methods are idiosyncratic. They might be different depending on who's doing it. The way I do it is, I know, not followable by everyone, but I do think that if understood what I was actually trying to accomplish, you could apply your own procedures and methods to that and come up with a pretty standardized and sane and predictable way to get where you're going with story creation. I don't think there's anything that unusual about mine, actually. And I think, as I've described it before, it's a modified version of the Marvel method, except I'm playing all the roles, and I'm able to switch roles. So in other words, I start as the editor and I go, I want to create a comic about this. And then I hand that idea off to the artist and say, okay, I will implement this idea as a story. Except I'm also the artist, right? I'm handing it off to myself. I just switch roles. And then once I'm done doing that, I hand it off to the writer. And then the writer, so I start as the editor, then I become the artist, then I'm handing it off to the writer, and the writer says, okay, I'm going to put in the speech bubbles or whatever. I'm going to figure out what actually is being said and come up with some other cool ideas, etc. And if anything changes, I might hand it off. Of course, I'm the writer too, right? So I'm handing it off to myself again. And then I might switch back to being an artist, or switching back to being an editor, or switch back to being a writer again throughout the process until we've got the full story. In general, I look for these short stories,
Oh,
which are 16 pages. Actually, to tell you the truth, I don't feel 16 pages as a short story. I know that the standards have changed over the years, but
This could be it.
if you go out and look at, Amazing Fantasy number 15 or whatever, or you look at, oh, I don't know, Strange Tales, or if you look at, you know, early Batman or Superman comics, they're short. They're 16 pages or less. First Doctor Strange is 8 pages. Oh, I take that back. It's like 5 pages or something like that. It's like even smaller. And the anthology format, although much abused by various people, was the popular format. And none of these big omnibus type anthologies like what we do right now, but Marvel Presents, Wiz Comics, Marvel Presents, Strange Tales, Astonishing Tales, um, Adventure Comics, etc. Which is Adventure is one of my favorite series. That's a DC. That's the DC series that Legion of Superheroes was in. The anthology is the standard. Tales are short, but you might have a main story and a backup. That's one example. You might have two equal stories. That's Strange Tales and Tales to Astonish. You know, it's got Submariner and the Hulk, or whatever. Or you might have where you'd have Wiz Comics, where you'd have 4 or 5 or more comics or stories that would be in there with maybe you might have a headliner of sorts. Anyway,
Aces down.
I know that era is over. I'm not confused about that at all, but I still think it's a very sane and predictable way to arrange comics. Our problem right now is we've gone so long with this sort of insane um, system where well, you had the the Image Boys all quitting all at once and setting up independent comics, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the black and white era, the and then DC deals with it by creating Vertigo, right? Vertigo as it looks like an independent comic, but it's still DC, right? So you know, they did an interesting thing there. Of course, those are gone now too. I'm wondering if I got them. Did I get them? Let's see. I got parts of them. I was showing this around, and somebody said, "Well, there should be more non-cute anthro characters." And I thought, "Oh, you don't think my guys are cute? Of course not. They're not cute." This is like a Saturday morning cartoon that never really existed. Here we go. Hang on. Right. This is a problem right here. I'm looking at this other hand. You notice I don't have an arm in between, so I gotta fix that. Okay. So usually I try and trick it down to what I think is about the right comics, and I go, okay, is it telling the story? Is it showing what I want it to show? And I think it is. It's showing that he's a mechanic, right? All of the Beast Rangers have different personalities and like different um, things about them. So Blaze here is a show off, and he's also a mechanic. He likes um, he likes nothing more than to do stunts on his Blaze cycle. He's always trying to impress Celeste. All right, let's fix that arm. I think it goes down here. And there is a forearm piece right there. Let's take a look. What do you think? I don't like this shoulder piece. But other than that, all right. Well, that's looking correct. Now we need to show that he's in a garage of some sort. So I'm going to put, I literally had a sign in the back that says garage, but it's a partial sign. So you only see a couple of the letters here. Signage is important. There is a sign on page 5 as well. When they invade the Leather Wings lair. I don't think I got it. That might not have hit it. All right, let's try it again. All right, let's take a look. All right, yeah, that's kind of working. Too many lost edges, so we're going to unlose them. We're going to put a horizon line behind him. Not a horizon line, but like a floor line.
Oh, man.
How do we show that this is a garage? Well, it's a laboratory garage, so it can have some technology looking.
Really? Really? Doesn't the gorilla have a lot?
Maybe some patterns or something.
I
He's
thought
wearing his cyber armor, and he isn't shown with his weapon. You can see you can't see her weapon. You can see he's got his twin swords,
wow.
and you can see his axe in the background. Blaze uses a fire sword called the Blaze Sword. He's the kind of like character who would say, "I also call it the Blazinator." Like like if there was a cartoon, I know how I would voice these guys or get guys to blaze it. So, etc. The Blazinator.
Oh.
Hang on. There we go. It's like an electrical outlet, but it's futuristic, so it's just a square. All right. I feel as though we've accomplished something here today. Let's see. Is this enough? Is this enough to call this a? Well, let's make this. Everybody understands this is the floor, right? So it's put some hatching in there.
It would almost be worth it,
There we go.
Glue. It would almost be worth it if you caused wounds on it, just because anything that we have heal up, we're gonna, if it hits us, we're down again.
Right. So normally what I do at this point is I go, okay, let's just leave it alone. And then I'll come back and I'll kind of take a look and see if there's anything else that can be added. Oh, let's add some more hatching so we know that that's fur. He's a furry character. A fuzzy character. He's not a furry character. There's nothing perverted about these guys. These guys are like the Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's the concept here. He's a scaly character right here. Is the snapper. I don't know if I like this hatching. Let's take it out and redo it. Yeah, there we go. It can be kind of clean looking. There's Fang. Fang's kind of our grim character, our grim, dangerous guy. And then Celeste. She's our invisible girl kind of character, you know? Sue Storm. All right. Dude, it's looking good. Tell you what, we're only at 20 minutes, so let's rock into this one. This is the splash page, the real splash page, because the way it works, if you're watching my other videos, the first page will be on the right. This will be on the right side. Like if you open up your comic book, it's this one. You flip it over. This is the back of the front page, so we're on this side now. And then the real splash page starts here, page 3. And it's Luminary. He's giving the team a brief. He's explaining what's going on. I'm going to start with the lettering. Inky Doo. I'm wondering how thick I need to go on the lettering.
Zodar?
If you're wondering how I do my lettering, it is not exactly hand lettering, but it's not a font either. Um, it started life as a font, where we just type it in, and then we stretch it and distort it, right? And then we get it into place. Then let's see if I have it. I think it's gone. Um, you stretch it and then distort it, reduce the opacity, throw another layer on top of it, and then trace your distortions so that you get something that's kind of original and it looks human because it is. But the most important thing is the spacing is correct. You know, it's in a straight line. Like these are all these things that you need to do. I'll have to show you my Pinterest at some point. I have some pretty good examples of title lettering from old comics.
Oh man.
Okay. Every time I do about 3 letters, I'm going to be pulling off the pencil layer just to take a look and make sure I haven't gone crazy with it. Or sometimes you end up with like, line weight problems or shadow problems or shading problems or something just looks off. This is meant to look like tough, bold lettering. think I'm using a font called Crypt Creep,
Oh,
based on the Crypt Keeper, but it's about half as thick. So once I pumped the letters up, I elongated them height-wise, and then I added my own. Like you'll notice that this E is different than that E, right? I added my own little bits and pieces to them, and so hopefully, when people look at it, they'll go, "Oh yeah, okay, that E is not the same as the other E. I'm not getting just a font." It's not that they care that it's just a font. What they care about, and they may not even notice, is that it looks authentic. Like it doesn't look um, low effort. Okay. Oh, I've got a problem. Look. Is it this one? I've got a line weight problem. You can see that T has got a little thick coming up down there. And the T over here has got a problem too. And the H was never finished. Okay, let's bring it on back. I bet you this is a little
your
thick
antennas
too.
are sticking out.
This H. And then you're also kind of doing the shading and such. Okay. Let's take a look. That's a little bit better. I don't like this up here, but that's a little bit better.
Oh, crap.
I don't want to get into the thing where I'm shading literally every letter. But it looks like I might have to.
Johnny, I got a 10. I have a -1 strength without my arms. I can't. um, it's hardly. I could use my inspiration to roll again, but
How about this?
I guess I better. This could be a waste, but let's hope not. 18.
How about that right there?
Yeah.
You can also give it some texture. I put some speckles on it. As long as your speckles don't look too uniform, that could be like a stone texture or any kind of maybe a matte finish type of material. Like it takes all the you understand that it's not shiny. In this case, I want them to look stone. I think I want my T to be a little bit more prominent here. Okay, and then you can kind of lighten up on the shading and hatching. All right, that's all looking all right. What do you think?
I get it. I go right back at it because haze.
All right, let me seal up this one. This is one of those things you'll be looking at it a long time and going, did I get it right? Am I okay on that? Is this all right? I think we're okay. All right, let's bring in, where is it? The Beast Rangers. Let's see if we can get a B. All right, you can definitely follow the whole comic as it's being developed over at my Instagram. And if you would like to actually read this and have it in its final form, it'll be super cheap. It'll be part of the Adventure Awaits anthology, which we sell at cost when it comes out. So you'll get this plus several other stories. You'll get Brillig, which is also recently finished. Oh, I see what's missing. You know what's missing? You can't do both layers. You can't get the 3D effect without getting both layers. That is my own fault. All right, let's fix that a little bit.
I'm gonna do it again. Shocking grasp.
Okay.
22.
There's Luminary given the brief. I think this one will be a narration box.
Well,
This will be a narration box. This will be a narration box. And then this final one is we realize we've moved forward in time, and this is their ship, and they've already reached the mission zone. All right, let's see if we can move this down. So I'm already adding in little
Okay.
problems with the lettering, like little pock marks.
And then bonus action, unarmed strike.
Now that I've been doing it for a bit, I understand, or I feel like I have a better sense of what the line weight is supposed to be. So that feels pretty good. So when you look at it, the 3D adds a ton of information to the pop to the title. And same with the speckles. The BE. Wait, let's move that. All right, what is missing? That's missing. That's missing. Next week I'll be in Texas, which means I may not have a chance to do as many videos. I'm bringing my laptop though. I mean, you gotta have your laptop. All right. Let's continue on. Please like, follow, and subscribe. There will be more Beast Rangers, and I will be posting the completed page 2 to my Instagram. I will talk to you later.